It's that time of the year again. While we won't be strolling on Hollywood Boulevard, we will be strolling along West Street and Main Street in Annapolis for the 11th Annual Annapolis Film Festival. From March 23rd to the 26th, you can enjoy more than 70 films, Q&A sessions with filmmakers, panels, coffee chats, and yes, plenty of parties. Tickets and passes are on sale now at AnnapolisFilmFestival.org. But right now, we're going to give you a taste of things to come as we interview directors and producers of some of the hottest movies on the slate.
I've walked into this office probably for like 9 years, and it's always looked like a bomb has exploded. And I'm here this year in 2023 for the 11th Annual Annapolis Film Festival, and it looks so neat. So that must mean you guys have your act together, and it's all smooth sailing, and we're just ready to go, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The answer is yes. We are feeling it this year.
Stick with that story.
Yeah.
Stick with it. Stick with it. I know
the
how
movies are back. Naptown has a big festival to welcome.
They really do. Well, AnnapolisFilmFestival.org is where you want to go to start. The film festival comes in March 23rd, which is a Thursday night, runs through Sunday, March 26th. And these two ladies, Lee Anderson and Patti White, are bringing 70-plus films to 6 venues in 4 days, and they do all have their hair still at this point. So that's good.
Barely.
It's turning white.
Well, welcome back again. And I mean, this is so exciting again because now this is our second year after COVID in person. So hopefully COVID is pretty much, it's in the back of our minds, but it's in the rearview mirror, and we're moving forward, which is amazing. And that really sort of ties in with your theme of this year. It's looking beyond.
It is.
Looking beyond, yes. We want to look beyond everything this year.
To a degree, it's funny, and I mean, I want to talk to you a little bit about the theme because as I looked through some of the films that you released the full slate the other day, and without knowing a lot about the films, I'm seeing that there's a lot of uncomfortable films, I'm going to say, that, and I don't mean that in a bad way, that it makes you think, get out of your comfort zone. A couple that were there was Vicky Bruce's movie about the immigration down at the border. The gentleman that rode in the Ram race.
Oh, yeah.
All arm, or all legs, or no legs, all heart.
Right.
And a double amputee that raced from California to Annapolis, Maryland. You've got Waves Apart, which deals in anti-Semitism, and I'm going to speak with Josh Green on that a little bit later today. And Out in the Ring, which again is the transgender and the gay issue in professional wrestling.
Right.
I can totally see where it makes people feel just a little squirmy, but definitely want to dig deep into it, which is really what the film festival is to me. I mean, you start a conversation and you talk about it.
Well, we have something for everyone in this festival. It's not all discomforting, but our goal is also to push people a little off their center and make them understand and see the world and accept things and understand different cultures and different lives and different peoples. And that's always been one of our missions. But this year, looking beyond as our theme, we are trying to do that. We're trying to pull the covers on things and make people see a little beyond and behind and further down the road than we've been before. And you still can be entertained and informed and all of that with that.
Oh, without a doubt. Some of the most uncomfortable movies you see are some of the best movies that you've seen.
Sometimes you look backwards to go forwards, and I feel like this year we're hopefully past a pandemic and people were sort of stuck in a quagmire of isolation and other things. So we want to push people to look beyond being isolated. Let's be back together. Let's be back engaged in the world and look beyond our own preconceptions.
Well, with 11 years of experience, you guys have got this down, and you know how to do that successfully. And I'm just looking at some of the successes that you had in 2022 with Emily the Criminal up for some major awards, Fire of Love, which was incredible, A Love Song, which I didn't get a chance to see, or Knight Rider, all up for some major awards at the Oscars coming up pretty soon. Mm-hmm. And then you look at some of the stuff that you had in the past, King Richard, LBJ, The Biggest Little Farm, The Post. These are all big movies, big important movies that have come here to Annapolis in the Annapolis Film Festival because of you guys.
We're excited that we were able to do this for our community. I think the thing Patti and I are the most proud of in the whole time we've done this is that we've been able to bring in amazing stories that have transformed people individually and collectively as a community.
It really has. And I was speaking with somebody the other day, I can't remember who it was, and I said that the film festival is very similar to like Midnight Madness. You end up seeing some people that you haven't seen in a year, and you pick up right where you left off, and you're talking about the memories that you had in 2022 or 2020 or 2019. So
Yeah, we won't discuss those.
Or 2019 and 18 and so on and so forth. And it just brings it back, and I've said it year after year after year. I love that when a film breaks, if I go to the Harbor Center or to the mall, I go to the bathroom and I leave. Here, I hold it. I hold my bladder, and we sit here and we have a conversation.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, it blew me away. It pissed me off. I haven't laughed that hard. And I mean, some of them, that aren't to my taste or somebody else's taste. Oh my, what did I just watch? Which is all great and all part of the experience of strolling around town and catching these.
Well, that's why film festivals are so important in communities. That's why we believed in it so much to bring it here. But also, you can get lazy in a film festival too. You can just sort of, we'll just take this and we'll just take that and we'll get through it. It's so hard to build a slate. It's really hard. And it's really hard after COVID because so many films were held back for 2 years, sure, and then they all came out last year. Now we're starting with the films made sort of during COVID and at the end of the big push, and you don't have as many. So it's very difficult. But the fact is, one of the things that everybody can always feel confident in here is that we're going to curate to the best of our ability for our community, for the industry as well, but also mostly for our community. This is a festival. It was built on our community's support and love for it, and we are attending to that, with a real eye to what people here want to see, but also what we think they will embrace once they do see.
Well, you've done that so well over the years too, because I mean, you look in the Naval Academy. Okay, you've had some controversial, and you've had some, say, military-related films. Obviously, you've had some political films. We've got some films that deal with communities that are divided between, with race, and we have our own little issues here in Annapolis. Certainly, the sailing showcase that comes on every year. Yeah. The African American Showcase, which I think you've changed their terms to that now. It's called the Black Experience.
The Black Experience, because not all people that are going to be part of this, Black people are
identify as African American.
As African American.
Right.
That's right.
We have Caribbean,
they come from other
different parts
places
of the world and whatever. So we want to be much more inclusive. That showcase has really developed, and we feel very strongly. And last year we gave our first Impact, the African American Impact Award. This year, the Black Experience Impact Award is going to Beth Ann Hardison with the film that she's bringing, Invisible Beauty, and it is incredible too. And she is the co-director and the subject of the film, along with Fred Chang, who also directed it, and he directed Dior and I and Halston and things like that. So they're both coming.
She
for the
was
festival.
a pioneer in the early days of even creating a space for Black models to be in the world.
She understood Black beauty before anyone else really did.
Really got it.
She put it out there in the way to understand it, and she's a still active, incredible woman, and she's coming here to Annapolis, and we're excited about that.
So she's going to actually be here?
Yep,
Yes.
She'll be here to accept the award on Saturday at 5:00 is when the showcase begins, and afterwards she'll accept the award and do the Q&A.
And that's at Maryland Hall in the main theater.
Maryland Hall,
I think
yes.
so. Well, your venues this year, you've got some old favorites. Maryland Hall, which is a wonderful venue, has two venues actually. It's got the main theater up top and then the Bowen Theater down in the bottom. And that's where you guys do most of your Annapolis Film Society screenings throughout the year, which are absolutely phenomenal. And if anybody is not aware, go to AnnapolisFilmFestival.org, and then you can sign up for the Film Society. And you try to go about once a month, and then you ease up a little bit as you get into the festival. But some of the films have just been phenomenal. I haven't seen all of them, but I've been to a good number of them. Well worth it. no more expensive than than a movie theater. No popcorn, but we'll work on that.
Sometimes there's popcorn. It depends.
Sometimes,
Food trucks.
sometimes if you're a member of the Film Society, you get to go to a wine reception beforehand.
Ooh,
Exactly.
There you go.
There we have all kinds of things going on.
Hear that? There's a perk for wine. That should bring
Also,
everybody
I
in.
would say that this year at Maryland Hall, we are going to enhance the sound a bit for
Well-
people who have struggled in the past sometimes because it's a hall that's built for,
It's been a somewhat terrifying ongoing issue for us in terms of being worried to the artist or distributor of how we're presenting, because the surfaces are in really hard surfaces in there, which work great for the symphony and the ballet and everybody, but for film, it's sometimes difficult with the sound.
And this
because
is in the main theater.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we're doing 5.1 surround. So there's a speaker behind the screen and then there's 4 in each corner so that it's coming from all directions around you. And that presents a different acoustic treatment.
Okay, so the one they're bouncing off of everything as opposed to being directed where they need to
It's
be.
not washing straight over you. So we'll be piping and draping in there this year to try to mitigate some of the sound.
it'll be much better. It'll be
Interesting.
much better.
But your other venues that you have are the Ramshead on stage. You've got
That's for our coffee talks.
Asbury United. Is Asbury United Methodist?
Yes.
For United
Where-
Methodist Church.
Where's my thing here?
Asbury United Methodist Church on West Street.
Right. The Boys and Girls Clubs of Annapolis, I saw that up there. And you've had some events there in the past.
Yeah, we're turning that theater into a.
You mean the
and
gym?
That gymnasium, that large gymnasium, into a beautiful theater. It's going to be terrific.
And that's the one that's wide and has the big stage on the one side
Yeah.
and the bleachers on the other.
It will have a 30-foot screen just like Maryland Hall.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That'd be a fantastic.
Lots of chairs and good sound. It's going to be great.
And then Annapolis Elementary, which is always fun right down there by the water. So, well, what can we look forward to as far as films go? I mean, I know we've got the features, the documentaries, the
Yeah, I
showcases,
mean,
and
Well, first of all, we're just excited. We actually have 9 films coming from Sundance this year. It's a record for us.
wow,
Yeah.
okay.
Just off of Sundance. I mean, they've just been seen there. And one film that's going to be premiering at South by, so hasn't been seen anywhere yet, and that's Flamin' Hot. Eva Longoria's new film that she directed. This is her directorial debut, and she's
Boy, there's a sort of innuendo there. Eva Longoria and Flamin' Hot. I mean, come on.
except unfortunately it's about Cheetos.
Well, it is
Flamin'
based
Hot
on
Cheetos.
it's based on a true story about the janitor at Frito-Lay who came up with the idea to make the Flamin' Hot Cheetos and Doritos, and
Oh.
It's
a
definitely
it's a
inspired by
wonderful
a true story. I'm not sure every detail is exact, but it's definitely inspired by a guy who Mexican American family,
Right.
The guy who had
Mr.
worked for
Montañez.
Ricardo, I think was
Yeah.
his name, or and he was there for 8 years as a janitor, and then he discovers he wants to be so much more, but he hasn't been able to figure out how to do that without the education, without all of the things that everybody has. So it's an inspiring story because he took his ingenuity and his creativity, and he decided to grab some Cheetos and figure out how, and I'm not going to tell you all how,
Make 'em better.
how to make them different, and then how
And
to
for
get
his-
to the guys,
Yeah.
the powers that be, to sell the idea.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's neat.
It's really wonderful. And it stars also Dennis Haysbert, who you've seen many times in the Allstate commercials, and Tony Shalhoub is also in it.
Oh, okay. Very cool. Opening night is Chevalier.
Yeah.
And I have seen previews of that.
Mm-hmm.
You guys sent some out with your emails as well, and that looks absolutely fantastic.
It's
It's
a
big.
wonderful film.
It's epic.
It's big, and it's, this is something that we always hope an opening night can be, because it's going to fill the theater. It belongs in there. That's our opera house and our symphony house, at Maryland Hall. And now we're bringing in this film that has that music, that wonderful music, and a great story to go with it. I mean, it's he was the son of the illegitimate son of a slave and a plantation owner, and it takes place in mid-17th century France under the rule of Marie Antoinette, and it's got everything in it. It has everything. It's got it's just got
Right.
it all.
Drama, passion, romance,
Romance,
politics,
intrigue, yeah.
everything, intrigue,
Yeah.
music, the arts. And
Yeah.
for all who come on opening night, we will have a French theme after party. compliments of the palate pleasers, who will certainly be pleasing our palates with French fare.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a few little surprises.
I know last year it was all about chocolate,
Yes, it was.
beginning and ending.
Because last year we were trying to be how sweet it was to be back. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now we're back, so we
Well,
want.
I happen to notice that the closing film is 2 tickets to Greece. So we're moving from France to Greece. We're having
Yeah.
euros.
We're
at
looking
the end?
beyond. Baby, we're beyond our shores this year.
Exactly.
We're going beyond out there.
Well, we're encouraging people to get back out in the world again.
I mean, people are wanting to travel again. They, before for a while we were just sort of homed in our homes and we wanted to sort of look in front of us. But now I think people really want to. They want to be on the move, and they want to see films and stories that take you places as well. So that's what our films are doing. We have a lot of foreign films. They're really accessible and relatable. They're not just sort of crazy art films that only 10 people are going to love,
Right.
They're wonderful.
No.
These are very accessible and wonderful films. And we have lifted the screen. We're going to be lifting the screen in the Bowen Theater, so you'll be able to read subtitles easily. We're trying to do everything to make the viewer so comfortable and happy to be at the festival.
I've never met anybody that isn't happy to be at the festival, so you've already got half of
But we're trying to improve the cinematic experience so maybe people even appreciate it more. Because think about our lives. We're distracted every minute by our cell phones, by everything. But when you walk into that theater, for us, it's like going to church, It's sacred. You turn off the phones. You don't pay attention to anything else. You focus in the dark room on what's on the screen, and you let the sound wash over you, and you have an experience.
Yeah.
That is so true. And you talk about that we live our lives in front of screens, whether it's a little 6-inch screen in your phone or whether it's a 13-inch screen on your laptop, or maybe even it's a 50-inch screen in your living room. Nothing compares to a 30-foot screen.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, for people who say, oh, I don't think the theaters are ever coming back, just go and sit in one and then tell yourself afterwards if you don't want to go back and
that
sit
would
in
look
one
just
again.
as good on the couch. No.
Yeah, it doesn't. And it doesn't feel as good either. And you can't experience it with whoever you're with the same way either. It's a different kind of thing. I'll tell you a story. My son took his 3-year-old son to the movies for the first time. They were the only people in the theater. It was in downtown Los Angeles. They went to see, was it Lorax or whatever that Dr. Seuss film is?
Right.
And he said, I hope this is appropriate. And he FaceTimed me, and I saw my grandson's face in this thing. He was it wasn't even glued to the screen. He was, the feeling of being in the theater, that when they left, I said, how did he like it? He said, he cried because he didn't want to leave the theater.
blown away.
Blown away by the experience. And I think that's the magic we want to bring for everybody. We want you to feel that in some ways. And hopefully we have the films that will make you feel that way.
Well, what else is hot on your list as far now? You guys have a habit of going down the entire slate because they're all hot on your list.
That's true.
That is
Tell us
true.
what you want to know.
But no, I mean, what are the ones that are really going to resonate with Annapolis and beyond here?
Okay, so we have 2 that have a really interesting tie to Annapolis.
These are 2 world premieres.
Well, there are 3 that actually have a tie to Annapolis, but we'll talk about the 2 world premieres first. We are fortunate that we have our sailing film as a world premiere. Nobody's ever seen it. It's just being finished in post right now. It's called Melgus, the Wizard of Zenda, and that's about Buddy Melgus, who in racing circles is widely known as the guy who would beat you and then tell you how he beat you in sailing.
He's the sailor's sailor. You know what I mean?
Right,
All the
yeah.
sailors know this guy,
So there's lots of archival America's Cup footage and everything in it. It's wonderful, and it's preceded by a short film about a pretty well-known photographer named Sharon Green, who hangs out of helicopters and shoots all those incredible photos during the America's Cup and makes the calendar every year.
Right.
So she'll be here, and the director of Melgus will be here. That's Mark Connor, and they'll both be here, along with Gary Jobson,
Yeah.
who's going to...
And who's in the film. Gary's in it as well.
I was going to say Gary would be like
Yeah.
a low-hanging fruit to
Right.
bring in because he's right here and a neighbor.
And he will be up there, and he'll be hosting, talking to Sharon and the others. But we want him to be part of the panel as well. So
Joe Newmeyer is going to interview Gary.
Okay.
that's what.
Because Gary is
We haven't
also
told that
in
to
the
Gary yet, but Gary,
In case you were listening, Gary, FYI. But that's a big Annapolis tie. I mean, it's the sailing capital of the U.S., so why not have it here? Another film that has a really great tie to Annapolis is called Of Medicine and Miracles, because the doctor who's performing Medicine and Miracles in the film went to the U.S. Naval Academy, Dr. Carl June.
He's now at Penn, at the hospital at Penn,
Right.
and he's a very, very well-known and well-thought-of doctor,
What's
cancer doctor. Leukemia is
Okay.
his specialty. And this film, he has discovered a certain cure for a certain type of leukemia, and it's really a
re-engineering
powerful.
stem cells. He's saved the lives of about 15,000 people. But the story parallels his journey of bizarre discovery and tangential learning that led him to these unique solution ideas. At the same time, a family's trying to fight for the life of their 5-year-old.
It's all about a family, and so it's a really moving, compelling story. So that's exciting.
I would say, and unfortunately, cancer does touch so many
Exactly.
of our lives in so many different ways.
And this is hopeful. And it's made by a filmmaker named Ross Kaufman. He's already been to the Academy Awards for a film called Born into Brothels.
Okay. I saw one in there that looked not so much by the title, but by the director or producer, but Ray Romano's Somewhere in Queens.
Yeah.
Sounds like it probably has the potential to be funny.
Lee and I saw that film at Palm Springs Film Festival, and we were like, yeah, we're going to bring it in. So we had hoped that even Ray would be able to come, but the schedules of a lot of these actors right now are incredibly
Very busy.
so it's almost impossible to get them here. But this was his directorial debut.
And he stars in it with Laurie Metcalf, who
Yeah.
you've probably seen a million times and didn't know her
she
name.
was, she was in a sitcom forever.
Yes, for years.
She was a sister of somebody.
Not Roseanne Barr. Roseanne Barr.
Yes, it was. It was a Roseanne.
And he's got this Italian family in Queens that is involved in every single aspect of everybody's life,
Everything.
And
every ceremonial event happens at the same venue throughout the films.
So, get the jokes away.
Is that?
But
yeah,
you'll see.
You'll see.
It's very Italian in that
yeah,
way.
It is, and it's great because it's focused around a teenage son who's a big basketball player, and how a father can just sort of, because his own life is so complicated and insecure, so to speak, that his desire to be involved in his son's future overtakes everything and completely messes with his own life. So it's quite something. It's a dramedy. I mean, it's funny. It's also very dramatic and poignant.
But it's a great message about family, and you still love each other at the end of the day. Even if you screwed up, you forgive each other.
It's got a great ending, and I think people will enjoy it. So, and also we're only able to play that film once. So if you want to see that, it's going to be about 4:45, I think, on Friday at Maryland Hall.
Well, my recommendation for the film festival is to get a pass. Don't bother with the individual tickets. I mean, unless you've got really timed things, because passes are the way to go.
They are.
But play hooky. Don't go to work. Call out sick.
It's Friday.
It's Friday. That's fine. Nobody's going to miss you.
If you go to opening night, you want to sleep in, right? Because you're going to party.
Also,
opening night.
I also want to say that for the No Legs All Heart, the whole team of them are coming in here. So we have Andre, who's the subject of the film, who did the race across America and ended up here in Annapolis. He will be flying in from his new home in Italy. He's coming in for that. And the director is coming. The producers are
Two
local.
editors and the FX person as of this morning.
Right. So they'll all be here. It's going to be a wonderful Q&A. The film is very inspiring, and it's a world premiere. And it'll play twice, once on Saturday and once on Sunday, so check your schedules.
Okay, very cool. Now, you talked about the Q&A and the panels and stuff like that. I mean, they're peppered throughout the and as well as coffee talks early in the morning for the early risers as well. And this is a really unusual, I don't know whether it's unusual in the film fest world, but certainly for Annapolis, but it's a very unique opportunity to get there and talk with these producers, these directors, perhaps some actors, about how films are made and what goes into it, which nobody realizes what it is when they pay that $15 at the theater and plops down in the seat with a bucket of popcorn.
the more intimate stories, the ones that aren't always told about in the Q&A, come out in coffee talks. Because, you're right there with them, and everybody's, it's the morning, and you come in kind of, disheveled.
We got that last night fog going on.
Right.
Exactly.
Who knows what comes out.
And they'll say anything then,
Thank God for Baltimore Coffee and Tea Company. There'll be coffee.
Yeah,
And,
they keep us going. They keep our all systems going.
but it is a time. It's an intimate conversation. It's hosted, but it's also something where you, John, can say, "Hey, how'd you get this crazy idea?" Or "How'd you ever get access to this?" Or "What made you even think of this?"
Christopher Llewellyn Reed is going to host a couple of them over the weekend. Yeah.
And a lot of times that just puts a whole new perspective on the film that you either saw or are going to see.
Right.
Which is
That's very true. And
really pretty neat. Other films that you're all really excited about?
Oh,
Wow.
yeah, there are a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some really great smaller films. I mean, and we have also Judy Blume Forever, which is, the big doc on
Right.
Judy Blume, which is wonderful. All the Judy Blume fans.
Yes. She broke all the barriers on teen sexuality early on.
Yeah, so we're going to have a couple screenings of that film, great one to catch. And we saw a film called The Starling Girl through the Sundance Virtual, and it's a very, very special film. And it hits on a subject of, these very conservative religious families and a young girl coming of age in that family and how she's with the rules and the family, what's expected and where she is in her life and some of the choices that get made. So that's an interesting film.
And also we have the film, another really wonderful indie called The Grotto. And for those of you who are Broadway fans, it's written and directed by Joanna Gleason, who won the Tony for Into the Woods.
And it's her directorial debut as a director.
And
She's an actress.
It stars Betsy Brandt from Breaking Bad.
Okay.
And it's a wonderful story. Well, it starts out with a rough start, and then she's uncovering the remnants of the relationship she thought she had with her husband and putting some pieces back together and rediscovering what life is really all about.
And that's a big
beautifully
Friday
told.
night film
Beautifully
for us,
told. That's
yeah.
a spotlight film. Mm-hmm. And another, we have some young films too. We have How to Blow Up a Pipeline, which we saw at Palm Springs. It's kind of like a group of young late 20s, early 30s activists literally try to figure out how to blow up a pipeline that they think is ruining the environment and their health and everything else. So it's kind of like Avengers for the ecosystem. Yeah. And then we have Susie Searches, which also is out of Sundance.
Yes, it is. No, it isn't.
No.
It's no.
Did I get that wrong?
It premiered at Toronto, and then it went to Palm Springs. But it's very interesting. It's also a youngish kind of film too, and it has to do with Instagram and influencers, and it's sort of a mystery and thriller kind of thing. I mean, so it's good.
She's solving a mystery from a podcast that you will like this one, John. It's right up your alley.
What's it called?
Susie Searches.
Okay.
We also have a film called What's Love Got to Do with It, which is not the Tina Turner What's Love Got to Do with It. This
Too
is
bad.
generations
Too bad.
later.
Oh my God, what a great song that is.
So it's basically our Saturday night spotlight, our 8:00 at night spotlight at Maryland Hall, and it's about it's by the same people that did the producers that did Love Actually and Bridget Jones' Diary.
Right.
So it's got that sort of feel to it, but it's Emma Thompson and it's
Lily James.
and Lily James, and it's about a Pakistani family that wants to arrange a marriage for their doctor son, and Lily James happens to have grown up next door to him and was his friend, and so she's going to come in. She's a documentarian, and her goal is to is to film the journey of this arranged marriage. So that's that film. That's our Saturday night film.
Also, we have Butterfly in the Sky.
Yeah.
So how many of all of us grew up with the Reading Rainbow and LeVar Burton?
Sure.
Right?
Huge.
So this is homage down nostalgia lane about the joy of reading and what it did for kids for so many years.
It's also got LeVar all through this film. He's interviewed. It's just a wonderful story about how PBS did this, the struggle of it. It's a really good film. It's really good. So,
and there's another complimentary film of that called The Right to Read, and actually that was on Good Morning America this morning.
yeah, and or CBS Morning News, I think, this
GMA.
morning.
Okay.
I think it was,
national
it's on,
news.
on national news. Yeah, and it was also, LeVar was the executive producer of that film. So this is, his big, and, we have a connection to LeVar here in Annapolis since he played Kunta Kinte, and Kunta Kinte came into our doc. So
That's right.
And for the first time ever, We have 3 family-oriented films, so we want people to know they can bring their kids to the film festival.
This is a festival for everybody, and
It is.
you've said that several different times. But I know that you've reached out to schools. You've got family friendly things. You've got stuff that may be borderline for the family. You've got others that probably may not be the most appropriate. But it really is something for everybody. It doesn't matter whether you're young or old, black or white,
Right. That's
true.
Christian or Jewish.
No,
Right.
We've got it all. I mean, our Jewish experience is going to be great this year too. We've got the Art of Silence, which is the Marcel Marceau doc, and then we have followed by Josh Green's short Waves Apart, which is going to be really interesting for people to see.
That is. I'm excited. I'm going to be speaking with him a little bit later. I'm excited to learn a little bit more about that. I don't want to spoil that one.
No, don't spoil.
That's a short one. It's 25 minutes long.
Yeah,
and it's it'll
something
be
else. Yeah.
It'll be
Also,
something else.
We also have a complimentary film afterwards in the Bowen called Farewell, Mr. Hoffman, which is a complimentary film with a Jewish story back in the 40s during
How
the
many
war.
films do you guys see in a year?
Oh, gosh.
You have no idea.
not
Do you have like one of those little click, click, click?
No, I should though, because I think I've seen 1 million this year. I don't know. It's a lot.
We also
It's a
have
lot.
5 French films this year, John.
Yeah,
Subtitles?
they are.
Some.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, Chevalier is not subtitled. It's in English.
But there's Revoir Paris. We have Other People's Children. We have Smoking Causes Coughing. And we have Lemoncita, which is Italian and French.
Italian and French.
And then, of course, Chevalier.
Okay.
And we also, there's one other film too, wasn't there? Maybe that's it. Is that 5?
I think that's 5.
2 Tickets to Greece is also
That's
French.
It. That's it.
Okay.
Even though
Well,
it's-
I know that you've also, we've talked about the community and everything else. You've got some local directors and producers here as well. I know that we're going to be speaking with Cheryl Starkalakis, and I probably
Yes,
messed up the name.
Cheryl Sterilakis.
Sterilakis.
I was close.
Yes, you were very close.
I was very close.
Cheryl, he tried.
And she is one of the producers of Out in the Ring.
Yes, she
Yes.
is. And of
And
Category Woman.
She has 2 films in.
And then Vicki Bruce, who I couldn't disagree with more politically, but I absolutely love. I mean, I think Vicki is great. Has her latest film.
Yes. She
does.
When she went down to the
border.
down to the border and checked to see the legal representation, I guess it was, of the folks that were coming through.
Yes.
And this was all.
It's called Los Abogados, which is the lawyers. And these are all female lawyers that go down to the border to try to help the immigrants coming over. So it's really good. And I don't know if you're going to be talking to Vicki or not, but
And I know she did all that through during the Trump administration as well.
she did.
So it was, well, she's never one to shy away from controversy. Let's say, and I remember, her first, I guess it was her first movie, the Pippin's Astro. Mm-hmm. Great movie to sit there and see. If anybody was a fan of History of Annapolis, go Google that and
Yeah.
see that for sure.
But we're happy to have Vicki this year. So
And then, of course, we have our local focus shorts, and we have our student showcase on Sunday that's free to the public, thanks to Art in Public Places.
we also have a new film that's just off of Sundance and a jury award winner from
Yes.
Sundance, 1001. And it's about a mother who basically kidnaps her son out of the foster care system because she's so disturbed about it. And it's being talked about everywhere.
It won the jury prize at Sundance.
Right.
It's called 1001.
1001.
one.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's got it's a powerful film. So we have that one, which we're really excited about. That will be just on Sunday. So we have, I mean, there's still, out of all these films we've talked about, there's still so many more that we didn't get a chance to talk about
well, I know-
that are really great too.
And I looked, and I've said it before, but I mean, I didn't know what a shorts was when 12 years ago, or 11 years ago. I mean, I showed up at the bar going, yeah, I got my shorts. It's not
Get
it.
into our shorts, right? The old get into
I
our
misread the memo. But there are a ton of short films, and I've really come to love them.
yeah.
And I even noticed at a lot of the theaters, as the Oscar time rolls around, they do put together, a tour, a 2-hour thing of shorts. So that's really sort of getting into the psyche of the public, I think.
Our
That's
kind of
Derek.
edgiest short this shorts program this year is called Hell of a Job, and it's really, really great. And Derek Horn, our director of programming, has done a fantastic job in pulling together the best of the best that's out there and making them fit the themes, which is also really hard to do.
Sure.
So Hell of a Job is just all these stories that evolve around people that are in certain jobs and life work, whatever their work is at the time, and how they're interpreting it. And some of them are absolutely crazy. Some of them are really funny. Some of them are difficult. I mean, it's just great. That's a really fun thing to go to. And then all of the panels. Trust in Me is a very powerful one.
Or
and
You Can't Go Home Again.
Can't Go Home Again. I mean, there's
Blood
so
is
many.
thicker than ...
Yeah, there's so many great shorts filtered, sprinkled throughout these shorts programs. So if anyone is into shorts, or even if you haven't done it before and you want to try it out this time, pick up one of the shorts programs.
What defines a short? I mean, I've seen some that have been maybe sub 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I've seen some that have maybe a little bit more than a half hour.
You could have a 2-minute short, and I think it's about 40 minutes that they say is the end of what they call a short.
Okay, so that's the window.
That's the window.
1 to 40.
But to be honest with you, in programming
The
areas,
sweet spot
programmers,
is-
it's
yeah.
about 12 to
15
15 is the
Okay.
sweet spot. 20 to 24 is acceptable most of the time. 5 to 10 is always great. But when you start getting longer, then it has to be really good.
Well, a question for you, because you guys do Filmsters, which is a film camp, and you guys are producers and filmsters.
Right. And those are shorts.
Everybody
They're
can
all
be a
shorts.
filmster, John.
But,
you can be a
but-
filmster too.
True, but my question, I guess, is it when you do a short, is it that much more? I mean, to me, it seems like, okay, I've got 12 to 15 minutes to tell my story.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a lot easier to stand up on stage for an hour and a half and tell my story than it is in 12. Is it much more difficult to produce a short than it is a longer feature
I
film?
think it's hard to do a short
It's hard to
because
do it well.
you have to do, you can't, in a regular story, you're going to have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and you have to have arcs all the way through, and you need to be going somewhere. A short doesn't really follow that. I mean, you have to have a story sometimes. I mean, sometimes they don't, but it's really different. Your beats are different. You're not hitting all the same beats you are in a narrative story or even in a documentary. You have to give a slice of it and get in and get out and be able to have a memorable moment in there. So you're looking for the moment or the effect of what you're saying or the theme. You're trying to hit something. That's kind of what it is.
Makes sense. Well, in the past, you've done a shorts competition.
Oh, boy.
Is that coming back again?
Is it ever?
For
Is
those
it
that are-
ever?
Those that are making, those are making films. This is the prize is huge.
Well, yeah, it is huge. So this is our, 5th annual Shorts Challenge, I think,
Well, I
this
think
year.
so.
And we're premiering a film that was a winner the year we went into COVID. It was called Everybody's Watching. So Omar Alikil will be here to finally share his work with everyone, which is exciting. And of course, the theme this year was Envisioning Tomorrow for the Shorts Challenge. So it was highly competitive this year, which is great. And interestingly, several that are in the finalists are have ties to Maryland, which
Yeah, they have
is
ties,
exciting.
a couple
'cause
even here. Actually, the schools that they are doing. One is out of SCAD. 2 are from SCAD.
Right.
Actually, 3 are from SCAD.
but they
2 of them are
live in Maryland. They're
yeah.
from Maryland.
Yeah. So one of them that's local is double. They're doing it together. That's and then the other one is from SCAD, and he's not. He's on his own. The one that's doing it together is from Temple. So those 3 are from this area, and then we have someone from Howard.
USC.
We have someone from Towson even.
Yeah,
that's
Towson and
And we have
USC.
2 from USC.
Okay.
So that are coming in.
So
Actually,
Maryland
that's,
represents this year.
It does, and this is a Shark Tank-ish.
Yes.
It is.
Kind of a
It is. That's what I say.
of a
It's
thing. You
Shark
get out
Tank,
there and you pitch your idea, and you
Right.
can be as mundane or as elaborate as you like. And I've seen some of them, and some of them, you get somebody, maybe it's the first time, they're very awkward. They're standing up saying, a boy goes to school.
Yeah, you're not going to find that
and-
this year.
And
You are gonna
others
be
are
blown
like,
away this year.
okay, well, here's my poster.
Right.
I've got,
Yeah.
I've got this, and this is how it's going to go, and this is where I'm going to film it, and this is what I want to do, and this is who I envision being in it. Whether they get that or not is
Part of what we're looking for is because we're not looking at a film, we're looking at an idea when they send their ideas in. So we're looking at an idea concept, and that concept, we have to look at it, and it has all the aspects, like what would the budget be, what do we need, and all. So we look at it totality. Is it a good story? Could it be made? Is it practical? Can it be affordable under this? So we take 5 or 6. This year we're taking 6. We take 6 projects, and then they'll pitch them on the stage to the audience and to the judges, and they have about 3 minutes to get their basic concept out, and then they have about 7 minutes that they're going to be grilled by the judges. So all the rest of the story about their film comes out.
Everything down to the budget, their plan, their schedule, whether it's realistic, how you're going to do it.
who picks the winners?
The judges.
Judges.
Well, the audience does vote, and the judges use that as a way in case they're like tied with something or they just can't get past, they want to see what resonated. But basically, they're going to go off and have coffee after this, and they're going to sit down and go through all of them, deliberate. We have nothing to do with it. We're out of it by then. We've selected who we think are the best possibilities, and then our industry judges are going to pick the winner.
Very cool. And then
what they win is a production package of camera package, lighting, sound, post-production sound and design, and post-production video, all right here in Maryland. So our partners are Henninger Media and the Maryland Film Office. IATSE 487 joined this year, which is the local union for those involved in film. And also we have a camera package and Serious Grip and Electric and Studio Unknown.
I had a question. You mentioned a couple of the people that have sponsored the festival there. Milwaukee. Where did power tools come from? Last year I was like, but it was memorable to me.
Yeah.
That's the whole purpose. Like they own that venue, and you every time you sat down, you saw Milwaukee Tools up there in red.
Right.
So, I think they realized a lot of people were either renovating, flipping, or a lot of people were buying homes last year. The real estate market went bananas, right?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
Every year we get different. Sometimes it's the same and sometimes it's different. I want to give a shout out. Wayne Rogers has been with us for the entire time we've been here supporting
Synergix
this
Films.
festival, Synergix and Synergix Films. And they've been just, really here for us. So
We do. We have a handful of people that have been with us for the whole ride. Baltimore Coffee and Tea. I think you have,
Yep.
John.
I think lately on the first year, I'm like the cynic on the first year something comes out. It's like, I don't know how this is going to work. So it was a little bit.
Wanted to
I
make
dipped
sure
my-
we were gonna
I dipped
stick
my
around.
Dip my toe in the water, and then we we moved on.
And like Metropolitan's been with us, 49 West,
Ram's Head, I'm sure.
Ram's Head, The Graduate, which was then Lowe's in the big early days, and then it was the Annapolis Hotel, and now it's The Graduate. They've all been with
been
us,
there.
and we couldn't do this without you guys.
totally.
You talked about The Graduate and the trophy room. By the way, it is absent trophies right now. They had an event and they took the trophy cases. We play trivia there every Monday night, and we sort of sabotage the trophy cases with our own little custom trivia name coasters in there. But they haven't been there for a couple weeks.
Wow,
so
that's interesting.
But
Maybe they're gone.
Are you going to be having a party at The Graduate again? I mean,
You
what's
bet.
the deal with the parties?
Saturday night bash.
Opening night under the tent.
Okay,
in front of
Maryland, that
Maryland
was
Hall.
fabulous last year.
It's going to be great this year, too.
Yeah, it's so much easier for everyone. Once you get there, you just relax. You're parked. You don't have to go anywhere else. You go to the party. You go into the film. You come out to the party.
Right.
It's easy.
Yeah, for you to say.
Friday night, we're doing the Friday industry party is at O'Brien's.
Okay,
And
Upstairs.
Saturday bash is at the trophy room.
awesome.
Yeah. So we have parties all the way through, and we still have the bagel breakfast for the Jewish experience,
Right.
the people who go to that. The other thing I wanted to say, I forgot to mention a film which I think is going to be, a lot of people might want to go see here, and it's called Little Richard, about Little Richard.
yeah. Whoops.
So
How did we forget
it's
that
the
one?
whole birth of rock and roll. So, that's
That was at Sundance.
That was
too.
at Sundance as well, and the director will be coming with that. So, that's definitely
Actually, Lisa Cortez is involved in 2 films.
Yeah, she produced Invisible Beauty, the Beth Ann Hardison film, and she directed Little Richard. So
She's coming.
she'll be here.
I can see some parallels there. I can see some parallels
Yeah,
there.
I mean, also we didn't mention what the films were. The short film, I mean, the family films. We have Blueback, which is just off Sundance, an Australian film about the big fish off of Australia and a family a girl that swam with it and got to know this fish very well, and a lovely story about a mother and daughter, and that's called Blueback, and that's going to be our Sunday family film. And on Saturday we have Mavka, which is the Forest Song, which is the Ukrainian animation. That's just a beautiful
It's
film.
spectacular.
Yeah, it's really
And
really
it's
lovely.
I'm really excited we have a film from the Ukraine this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice
Yeah.
to have that.
Yeah.
It's nice to have that. And we also, you mentioned edgy films at the beginning, and you said, well, we do have Mama Bears, which is about the mothers of gay and trans youth and how they met. And these were Christian women living in very conservative Christian homes who had to make a decision whether they were going to accept their children or not, their young children. And then this is what they do to be able to get through that.
Wow.
So that's also a film. Yeah.
And then there's Revoir Paris, which
Yes.
is about someone who survives a cafe attack. And she survives. So through her survivor's guilt and pieces of her memory through the trauma, it's almost like a detective story that she goes back to try to put the pieces together to realize, like, why was she the one that lived?
It's really good.
It's really powerful. It's incredibly well done. And she also stars in another film called Other People's Children, the same French actress.
She's just winning awards for both of these films, so it's amazing. And we have a documentary that was also at Sundance that is out of West Virginia called King Cole, and it's a beautifully made film, really really lovely, about what it's like to live in coal country up there and what's happened to the families and what people are going through and what's the future. I mean, it's a really good film. So people
Probably
are
a
interested.
pretty bleak film.
It's got some bleakness.
It's poetic,
but
though.
It's got a
Sort
lot
of
of
an
poetry
ethereal,
about it. You know?
It's an homage to a way of life that's disappearing in America.
Well, you guys, the film festival, and I'm sure all film festivals do, they open up a lens, go with a
Totally.
go with a thing into other worlds. I mean,
That's what we love about it.
we live
That's
in a
why we
little
do
bit
it.
of a bubble.
Yes.
And I've gotten into some political arguments with some people, and they're like, "Oh yeah, there's no way this." I'm like, that's what you say in just in the blurred beltways that we live in. Mm-hmm. But let's go out into Central Ohio. Let's
Yeah.
go out into Kansas City. Let's go out into L.A. There's just so much that makes it up, and the stories are worldwide that you bring here that we're able to sit in the comfort of our own little bubble home and take a peek into other worlds, which is just
That just reminds me, there's a fun film we forgot to mention. It's called Dusty and Stones. And it's a couple of guys from Africa interested in country
South
music.
Africa.
Interested in country music.
Oh no, I think it's Africa.
And they end up in
South
Texas. It's their first trip to America. And it's like a fish out of water, really fun.
Yeah.
You're seeing it through their eyes kind of experience. But that's the whole point you're making. Is like,
Exactly.
we're showing people new worlds.
We also have going back. I mean, when we talk about going back, and we're bringing up a woman, Dorothy Cotton, who nobody really knew about, and she's called "Move When the Spirit Says Move," and it's a film about the woman who was the right hand to Martin Luther King, that helped him make a lot of his decisions, and nobody really knew about her. And this is the story, and it's got a lot of footage.
It's
of,
great.
of
There's
civil
found,
rights
footage,
days.
there's found film footage of her.
We're showing that over at Asbury on
That's
Friday
cool.
Around noon. So,
And I will say, Asbury United Methodist, surprisingly, is one of the more comfortable venues. The pews are very comfortable
know.
there to sit.
It's great.
And I don't
Great to go
understand
to
how they
movies
do
there.
it, but it is wonderful.
And they've been
lovely.
great partners of ours. And Reverend Allen she doesn't interfere with the programming there, which is really wonderful. She trusts us to bring in whatever is
good
appropriate.
things. Right.
That's great.
And we're careful.
Right. Well, when the Annapolis Film Festival wraps up, and that will be on the 26th of March, you do have a thing called Best of the Fest.
Yes.
Rumor has it that it's a fun event. I've never made it to one.
Maybe we can change that this year.
So the first half hour is the awards ceremony, and then we rerun the 4 films that won the best audience awards only there. Best documentary, best narrative feature, best short narrative, and best short doc. They get rerun.
That's what I hear. And unfortunately, the way I roll with the film festival personally is I go all out starting Thursday night. and come Sunday at about 2 p.m., there's
done.
that wall. And I'm usually at Sin Fronteras or Caliente
Well, we hope no one else is doing what you're doing.
with a beer. It's because I sit there and I look, and my problem is that I go through the program and I get my Sharpie out and I start circling stuff, and then I'm like going, wait, no, they overlap. How do I do, and then so what I end up doing is like, it's an all day adventure for me for 3 days. And I just end up hitting that wall myself.
Makes sense. Also, by the way, Sunday night during that Best of Fest, when those things, if people have seen those films, they can also catch. We're going to have quite a few TBAs, and there'll be the jury winners will get replayed, some of them, and maybe a couple of other surprise films might get replayed in those. Between the Bowen and Maryland Hall and possibly Annapolis Elementary, we'll be showing a few reruns of things that have won the awards or that we just decide to show again because they were so popular.
So the best way to know about those reruns is to follow us on social. They'll go out on social media as soon as we know what films will be rerun.
Okay, and that's Annapolis Film Festival on Facebook or
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter.
It's Annapolis
Film Fest.
Annapolis Film Fest.
On social.
Right.
And you also post that up at Maryland Hall. That's sort of like the hub for everything, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We're excited to be back at Maryland Hall, and they've gone through a lot of changes this year, and I think it's going to be a good year.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. Tickets and passes are available at AnnapolisFilmFestival.org. Passes, I highly recommend the way to go, whether you go with the full-blown VIP or the other one. That's the way to go, because you can walk into a film. You don't need to worry about buying tickets and exchanging tickets if you miss it, and all of that hassle if you buy individually.
Yeah, or if you get there and you say, oh, this one's sold out, you can literally run to the next film, and you got your pass, you get in line, you go in, boom, you're scanned. It's you can see something else.
Also, we're going to have panels this year. They're not up yet, but they'll be up soon. And we're going to have our industry panels, 4 of them on Friday, one on Saturday, a director's panel, and on Sunday, the women's Voices of Women. So those are coming back. We just don't have them up yet.
Well, this is exciting. I am looking forward to 4 days of beating the heck out of myself running between the 6 different venues. Again, at Maryland Hall, at the Bowen Theater and the main theater, Annapolis Elementary, Asper United Methodist, Ram's Head on Stage, and the Boys and Girls Clubs of Annapolis, which are really a good walking path. I mean, it's not...
During the day, you can easily walk it, We're going to have some...
We will have just a 14-pass van circulating between Maryland Hall and the Boys and Girls Club, because we're worried about people crossing Spa Road. So if you want to ride, you can get a ride.
But there's also parking, lots of parking at both of those venues. Also,
reminder to everybody, if you're coming from out of town, Annapolis Go provides $2 rides. It's the little green car.
That's right within the town. And I will say, I'm going to give a shout out to the mayor, because he's with the main garage being down under a rebuild. They've done a very good job of alternate transportations. Getting around town, if you look for the purple bus, it looks like Barney the dinosaur. He says, hop on and off that. That's free. You've got the Annapolis Go, which is an app. It's $2 for the first passenger, $1 for the second, anywhere in the city. And they just expanded the areas actually a little bit just yesterday. You've got the scooters and you've got the e-bikes that are all around as well. So there's plenty of different options to do, as well as some of the outer garages.
Yes.
Well, also shout out to Mayor Gavin and his wife, beautiful wife, Jules, for supporting this festival the way they do. They're fans of it, and they prove it every day.
And also, just to all the people, I don't think people realize that about 60% of our support is from individual people.
Really?
Every year. Yeah. I think we see a lot of corporate sponsors, but not not too many big corporate sponsors, because this is where everybody wants to live, because they're not big corporate sponsors.
Right.
So, I think as we grow, I think people need to understand that, we're basically a festival that's almost $1 million festival. A lot of it's in kind, but if we didn't have it in kind, we'd have to pay for many things. So it's through the generosity of the community we're able to do this each and every year. It's always a stretch. It's always a race to the finish and a battle to fundraise. And we hope that people will think in terms of giving long term and just helping us get this,
We can't survive. A festival like this will not be able to survive without the support of the community. And so far, they step up, and
it's amazing.
Our supporters are so incredible. And not only do they support the festival, but they come to the festival and they support it in every way. And we just need to expand that circle because
well, you
we
guys
need
are a 501c3, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
so
are.
it's a great way to market your business. You can underwrite a short film for $750 and get 2 festival passes. I mean, that's a deal. Your logo can be up there. It can be your screening of that film. You can invite people to it. For $1,500, you can underwrite a feature, and then there's other prizes for spotlights and showcases. But it's also totally tax deductible donation.
And you can also support through the Annapolis Film Society. And,
Yes.
and you can just, I mean, as an individual, if you just wanted to contribute, you can do that because you're a film lover.
Right. And the thing about the Film Society is we are now up all year long. It's not just a 4-day festival anymore. Now we have the Annapolis Film Society that presents films, as monthly. And in that period of time, and we have some wine parties and stuff for our members, and we do things throughout the year. But it's so great because you've got the film experience all year long now, and we'll be adding things, we'll be having conversations, we'll be doing things as we grow. We just need the support.
True. One of my favorites was Jimmy Carter, Rock and Roll President.
I love that.
That whole venue, I mean, that was in the middle of COVID. It was out on the front steps of Maryland Hall. You brought your chairs, you had the wine.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful, cool night.
It was October.
It was a cool night.
We'd like to do more of that.
It was awesome.
We would love to do more of that.
Yeah, maybe this spring or early fall and whatever.
We'll see. Well, for now, everybody go AnnapolisFilmFestival.org. Buy your passes.
Yeah, and there are a limited number of passes, so we do have to stop them at some point. So I would suggest getting them sooner rather than later. Tickets are available until the last minute, but get your passes now.
And can you buy tickets at the door?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You can.
So even if your plans have changed and all of a sudden you find yourself in town this weekend, you can walk into Asbury United and there's going to be somebody that you can...
100%.
You can buy a ticket.
100%. You can buy a 6-pack of tickets. You can buy a student pass if you're a student and you have an ID, like 23 and under, you can do the whole festival for $100. We just want these opportunities for young people, and we know they don't have much. So we're just trying to make these things possible.
And we do have the student showcase is a free event to the public, and it's really good. Our student showcase on Sunday, and the local is not free, but it's great because it involves all the films that have been made, shorts mostly, have been made in Maryland. So
that's great.
Yeah,
that's great. AnnapolisFilmFestival.org. Go there now, and thank you guys so much for bringing it back 11 times in a row, and continue to knock it out of the ballpark year after year. And I am psyched for March 23rd to roll around. Thank you guys so much. And I guess I will see you next time at the movies.
Yep.
We will see you on the red carpet.
On the red carpet and at the movies for the weekend.
You can see on the stars as you walk along Hollywood Boulevard.
Remember, passes and tickets for the Annapolis Film Festival are available right now at AnnapolisFilmFestival.org. I've got mine. Now you need to go get yours, and I'll see you at the movies.